What if what matters has already been figured out? What if I told you that the generations living now hold the keys to the future? What if I told you that the answer lies in looking back to natural human character, in looking back to human body, in looking back to the human spirit? We are all creators. We come from creation to make more creations, and right now we're living a creative era. Everywhere I turn, a new AI, a new robotics development, a new technological advancement, a new currency. One would say humanity is at a turning point. One which will shape the way we lead, the way we love, the way we live our life, and the way we keep healthy. So since we're living a creative era, let's take a moment to see how the human mind creates. We create from within. We create from our experiences. We create from our knowledge. We create from we've undergone. We create from the spirit. We create from the soul. So it's safe to say that the spirit of the individual reflects in our creation as the spirit of the collective. I'm going to draw 3 parallels in looking back to our ancestors. The first parallel I will draw is during another creative era, at which time our ancestors were toying and becoming more linguistically expressive. They were coming up with words, languages, characters, letters, and so communicating on the outward. Before that, everything was within. Everything was held within as a thought, as something that they experienced within. So we're going to take an example today. We'll use an English word, but it could apply to most languages. We're going to take the word sign and break it apart character by character, letter by letter. The confident curvy S leads the way, starts the word off, followed by the skinny I, who most of the time is used to being on its own. Then comes the grand G, silent in this instance. And then the negatively perceived N finishes things off. Well, each one of these characters comes into context, forming a connection, being relevant, staying true to character, to cause its own significance and to cause a collective significance. It comes into context with no blame, no judgment, no pretenses, no past attachments, to make that connection and to cause a collective significance and its own individual significance. So what's the message from the alphabet? What's the message from our ancestors that they wanted to put a sign for us to know? The message is that we each need to stay true to our own character, to come together, to cause our own individual significance and a collective significance. The next parallel I will draw is that of our body. This biological, miraculous creation we all live in is a collective of our body organs, body parts, our nervous system, our limbs. Each one of those has a specific task, a function, for us to function as a collective. What if our mind started acting like our liver and our liver started pretending to be like our nervous system and our nervous system was acting like our limbs? What a disaster our body would be. But each one of those comes into context to cause their own individual significance and to cause a collective significance. If we were to take out the lungs, there's only air going through it. Well, outside of our body, our lungs would mean nothing. And our body wouldn't be functioning to its ideal state without it. So neither of one are at their complete significance. So just as the alphabet, our body has come together with our body organs without blame, without judgment, without pretenses, and without past attachments to cause their own individual significance and a collective significance. The third parallel I will draw is that of the human spirit. And for this, we're going to start off with a mindfulness exercise. So I ask you, On your lanyards, there's a keyring hanging. If you could please hold on to the keyring, and once you're holding on to it, close your eyes and take a deep breath. Exhale. Back straight, open heart, brave heart. A second deep breath. And exhale. Open your eyes. The third look back is a personal story. During the years of 2010 to 2014, our family went through some turbulent times, and the outcome of which was a decision for us to move from Canada to the US. And on the last day we were in Canada, when we had already resigned from our jobs, we had shipped our goods, and we had sold our house, the last transaction we were doing is selling our car. And in the parking lot of the car dealership, transaction was finalized. I took out that last key ring, and I gave it to the guy who bought our car. And I was holding on to an empty key ring just as you are right now. And then I understood in that mindful moment that this meaningless object now became a symbol which allowed me to practice the present moment, mindfully recognizing that I was the key to what was next, that I was facing a creative era of my own. And in that mindful moment, good and bad united, happy and sad coexisted, dark and light canceled each other out. An end and a beginning coexisted. But I first had to turn within, for me to awaken the spirit and to be able to recognize that what was next was in my mind and in my creative spirit. And so, in that moment, I reflected on how our ancestors practiced meditation. They practiced mindfulness. They prayed. They had spiritual rituals. And why do we do that? We do that to go within, to seek answers and understand ourselves at a level that is deeper than the usual. For us to be able to understand what brings us true joy, what causes true joy. And at that moment, we stop pretending with ourselves, we stop judging ourselves, we stop having judgment towards ourselves, and we stop looking back to who we were, and we move forward. We practice the present moment. And so in that, once we start practicing those things, we start having compassion towards ourselves, empathy, kindness, resilience. And so every time we show up in context, those become our character traits. We cause our own individual significance, and we cause a collective significance, because what comes out, what exudes, is compassion, empathy, kindness, resilience. So, let's put this all together. What is the message from our ancestors? What are the ancients telling us? Well, the message is clear. We need to nurture the mind, body, and spirit for us to survive. And the minute we neglect to nurture any one of these is the moment that we start, endangering ourselves. And endangering ourselves just individually and collectively. I stand in awe of the human cognitive powers, evolutionary circumstances to which the human cognition has adapted shows us that there's always a message in our creations. So as we move forward with tech and AI, let's take a step back, slow down, and go within. Mindfully recognizing our own judgments, mindfully recognizing that the two things that AI and robotics will never possess is the limitless creative human power and the human spirit. These machines will not be able to carry forward the human character traits of compassion, kindness, resilience, creativity, spirituality, empathy. Why would I say that? I say that because consciousness is eternal, but human body form is not. We may consider ourselves the highest level of intelligence, and we may consider ourselves the highest level of consciousness, but that speaks to our ego, does not speak to our spirit. As humans, we need to remain resilient and survive, and understand that we need to nurture the mind, body, and spirit. It is high time that we recognize that we've become outwardly superior than other living things on Earth. We have mastered our domination through our cars, our planes, our spaceships, but that all feeds the ego, does not fulfill the spirit. So as we forge forward with tech and AI, let's stay true to character and be our natural, non-robotic selves. In a quest for outward materialistic rewards, let's not forget the spirit and the soul. Humanity is at a turning point. And with the pace and passion we're putting together, tech and AI, we need to ensure to instill the character traits of compassion, kindness, empathy, resilience in our children, in our young leaders, in our startups, in our corporations, in our modern day cultures. I am not trying to change the world. I am raising the red flag, sounding the alarm about the human spirit in a creative era. For us to recognize that through our creations, we're putting together signs and messages. And what do we want those signs and messages to say about our character? We want them to say that we're not mean-spirited, we're not destructive, we're not vain, we're not outwardly materialistic. We want our creations to say about us that we're kind, we're resilient, we have empathy, we have compassion, and that these are the strongest character traits and the most intelligent character traits of humans. You can't have compassion without suffering. You can't have empathy without a loss. You can't have kindness without being hurt. You don't have resilience without being oppressed. This is why this is our strong skills. It's not our soft skills. We are at a turning point, so let's be extremely mindful of this in our creations, and let's keep on creating. My vision is for individuals and startups to first go within, for us to put together our venture messages and our brands from the spirit. My vision is for corporations to start asking, what's our corporate culture? And stay true to that character and identify it and implement it in powerful corporate cultures that resonate collective significance. My vision is for communities and countries to stay true to their own character and lead humanity with collective significance in mind. Thank you.